delegation. First of all, they don't know the delegation is beneficial to them, right? So this is a proactive measure now. If you know it tomorrow, when you take up a job, you won't mind delegating, isn't it? Because you will save some time, you can use it for a better purpose. Then fear of losing control over subordinates. This is the funniest part of it, you know. If I give my work, my subordinate becomes strong, then I am afraid that he may not give me respect. I feel insecure. So I don't want to distribute the work. I want to keep them ignorant. Then only my superiority is felt. The moment they are also as competent as I am, then what will happen to me? This fear is there in the minds of some people. Then reluctance to impart knowledge. Why reluctance to impart knowledge? They are not capable of understanding it, right? Or the knowledge is my own property. Nowadays, the type of jobs mostly available to you are knowledge workers' job, wherein sharing of knowledge is the crucial thing. So you please develop that quality, and that will be very good. Then another thing is the lack of confidence or trust in subordinates. He thinks, no, I don't mind giving the job to my subordinate, but I am not confident that he will do it correctly. As though he is born perfect. Has he not committed any mistakes? He has occupied a particular chair today, okay. Has he not committed any mistake in his lifetime or what? Without committing mistake, has he come to this stage? No, they forget about it, right? They too have committed mistake, they too have learned, and it is your job as a leader, once you move up in the career, you have to see that your subordinates do some work. If they commit mistakes, then you may help them to come out of the mistakes so that they will become strong. Once the subordinates are strong, you should be stronger, you should feel stronger, you should not feel insecure, because you can be confident that these jobs can be done by my subordinates. Then you think something else and then do something better for your organization. That approach one should take. Then again, the similar thing, I don't have confidence on my subordinates, so I think that they don't probably do the job properly. All this doubts about the competence of a subordinate. Then there is no preparedness on the part of these people to accept the mistakes. The same thing what I just now mentioned. Yes, first you realize that they may commit a mistake. If they commit a mistake, accept it and then correct it. Okay. And then the next problem is whom to delegate, how to delegate, and what is to be delegated. This is a big question again. Now, what is to be delegated? Any work can you delegate? You can't, right? Suppose a particular work involves a lot of risk by anyone committing a mistake. You can't afford to give that type of job to an inexperienced person. You should be very careful when you delegate it. It's not that any job can be delegated to anybody. That is irresponsibility. You should know what job to be delegated. And then there are certain jobs in your profession which you need not have to do by yourself always. Thus, such type of jobs can be delegated to a person who can really do that job all right. Okay. Then whom to delegate? You may have 10 subordinates. Who is capable of delivering it? All that you should be very clear. Then how? How to delegate? First, you have to give some training and also guidance to subordinates. Build up confidence in them to take up that particular job on their own. This is very important. Then, when any job is entrusted to someone, the instructions given by you should be very clear. It should be simple, direct, and devoid of unnecessary details. Some people thinking probably giving more information will help them do better. The more information sometimes confuses. Whatever is required you give, don't give more than what is required for that particular person in that particular context. So you should be very clear, particularly when you delegate a work, how much information to be given, only that much should be given, not more or not less. And then when you after delegating, don't be after them, right? You tell what is to be done and then leave it to their freedom to complete the work. The third point is avoiding too many obligations. What is this obligation? We want to be good to people, isn't it? I would like you to consider me as a good person. So you will request me to do something. Then I will say I will do it. And ultimately I won't do. Then you yourself will scold me. Had you told me that you can't do it, I would have approached someone else for this help. Now neither you did it, nor you allowed me to ask someone else to do it, and ultimately what you are getting is blame. You thought you would get praise, but ultimately you are ending up getting blame. Why? Because you feel delicate to say no to others. But when you say no, you should know how to say no without hurting the other person, because we don't have that skill of saying no, so we create problem for ourselves. There are two aspects. We want to get good name. The second thing is we don't know how to tell no. This too creates a lot of problem and time pressure on you, and then ultimately you have a lot of problem, right? And then avoid too much socializing. What I am using the term too much. What is too much? You have to decide. Whatever is too much to me need not necessarily be too much for you. And at one point of time, whatever appears to be too much, at another point of time in life may not be too much. So it is definitely a subjective thing, right? Socializing, so far as you utilize time, that's fine. Socializing, if you are wasting time, no, right? So if it helps you in relaxation, you are utilizing the time well by socializing. Suppose you get a feeling that you have wasted 3 hours today by going so and so or by participating in so and so activity, that means you have wasted your time from your point of view. For someone else it may be utilization, for you it may be waste. So you should be very clear about what are your interests and then how well you manage your time within the given limits. To conclude, the first and foremost thing is time is very, very important, very, very valuable resource in life. So we cannot afford neglecting it, first thing. The second thing is never ever entertain a complaint of time constraint in your life. How is it possible then? It is possible if you can follow the effective time management strategies, such as establishing your priorities in life, and then in that we have learnt 3 aspects. How do we plan our schedule for a typical day? How you maintain your diary professionally? Then the third thing is keeping everything in order in their respective places, in office and at home. There, this is how you should organize your time. Then the next step is delegation. Never be afraid, never hesitate to delegate. But before you delegate, make sure that the person to whom you are delegating is prepared mentally and skill wise to do that job with minimum errors. Then you can assign that job. Then what sort of jobs you can probably delegate which do not involve great risk. Then the next thing is knowing delegation is very, very helpful. Many people won't delegate. Why they don't delegate? Because they are afraid that they lose their importance in the eyes of the subordinates or others. That fear one need not have to have, because once others do certain jobs, you utilize that time for a better purpose, for your own self or for others' Okay, and finally, please organize your things properly. And whatever the time you have, you will be utilizing optimally so that you will gain maximum in your life. And then this is how, if you become systematic in your life in planning, the chances of your getting success in many of the endeavors you may plan ahead of you will definitely see the positive results.